You just reached up and touched your jaw without even realizing it. Maybe checking for stubble, maybe just confirming the skin is smooth. But you've probably never once asked why hair still grows right there. Because almost your entire body gave up its fur a long, long time ago. Every other primate on the planet is still covered head to toe. You're not. So why, in the middle of that full body shedding, did your face get to keep hair? Rewind about 1.5 million years. Open ground in East Africa, sun beating straight down. An early ancestor is walking, not sprinting, tracking prey for hours on foot. This ancestor is still wearing the family fur coat, same as every primate before it. Sounds cozy, until you remember, fur is an insulator. It traps heat in. Great if you're a wolf in a snowstorm. A disaster if you're overheating under tropical sun. So natural selection ran its slow experiment. Better sweaters with less fur stayed cooler. That small edge, repeated across hundreds of thousands of generations, added up to something huge. Anthropologist Nina Yablonsky calls it the cooling hypothesis. Bare skin lets sweat evaporate freely. Humans turned out to be elite sweaters, with far more sweat glands than any other primate. Biologist Mark Pagel added another angle. Losing fur also meant losing hiding spots for parasites. Both explanations could easily be true at the same time. Losing the fur wasn't an accident. It was a performance upgrade, tested for hundreds of thousands of years. But here's the real question. How would anyone even know when this happened? Skin doesn't fossilize. There's no ancient body in a museum drawer to check. So where do scientists even start? The answer came from an unlikely place, a gene. MC1R, the gene controlling skin pigmentation. In 2004, researcher Alan Rogers found a dark-skinned version had spread through the population about 1.2 million years ago. Dark skin only becomes an advantage once you're under direct sun with no fur to shield you. If that gene took over 1.2 million years ago, bare skin was likely already the norm. Not a fossil, a genetic fingerprint, left behind by an event nobody was around to record. Pieced together over 1 million years later, from the DNA of the people it happened to. Here's the twist almost nobody hears. Your hair follicles never actually disappeared. Not one. Researchers measuring follicle density found humans carry roughly as many as chimpanzees do. What changed wasn't the number of follicles, it was what came out of them. Thick, pigmented hair got swapped almost everywhere for vellus hair, the fine, near invisible fuzz still on your arm. Except a few stubborn zones that refused to comply. Scalp, eyebrows, eyelashes, armpits, groin. And on men, the face. Why exactly those spots survived is still something researchers are actively working out. And the beard isn't even leftover hair the way scalp hair is. As a boy, that jaw only grows fuzz too. Puberty flips the switch. A surge of testosterone tells those follicles to start growing thick, dark, adult hair. So the face isn't a place fur forgot to leave. It's a place hair was scheduled to arrive later. Which raises the real question, why install that switch at all? After 1 million years of removing hair everywhere else, the old assumption, going back to Darwin, was simple: women like beards, so beards evolved to win mates. But the research since then tells a much messier story. In 2012, researchers Barnaby Dixon and Paul Vassie showed people the same face, bearded and clean-shaven. The result was consistent. The bearded version was rated older, tougher, more dominant. But a later study focused specifically on attraction found something far messier. Some women preferred beards, especially for long-term relationships. Others showed no strong preference, some even leaned toward clean-shaven. In other words, the evidence for beards winning mates is genuinely inconsistent. What barely changed study to study was how other men reacted. Bearded faces consistently read as more dominant, mainly to other men, which points somewhere unexpected. Maybe the beard wasn't mainly about winning a partner. Maybe it was about avoiding a fight. A built-in warning label, aimed sideways at rivals, not forward at potential mates. There's a strange echo of this in recent history. A study of British facial hair trends, 1842 to 1971, found beards spiked in popularity exactly when more single men were competing for fewer available women. In other words, exactly when male rivalry was heating up. One more oddity. Clothing came far later than any of this. Just a modern correlation, not deep time proof, but it matches the pattern the perception studies keep turning up. Scientists dated it using lice. Head lice and body lice are nearly the same species, but body lice can only survive in fabric, not on bare skin, meaning they could only have evolved after humans started wearing clothes regularly. A 2003 study estimated regular clothing use at around 72,000 years ago. A 2011 study, using newer methods, pushed that further back, at least 83,000, possibly up to 170,000 years ago. Either way, that's still hundreds of thousands of years after bare skin showed up, meaning your ancestors spent an enormous stretch of history naked-skinned, sun-exposed, with no fabric at all. So the tidy story, lost fur to stay cool, kept the beard because people like it, was never quite that simple. The honest answer, based on the evidence, isn't a neat one. Losing fur solved a real, physical, life-or-death problem, staying cool enough to survive. But keeping the beard looks like it solved a completely different problem, staying safe in a world where reputation mattered almost as much as muscle. To separate evolutionary stories, quietly overlapping on a few inches of your own face. And every time you touch your jaw without thinking, you're checking in on a decision your body made almost 2 million years ago. For reasons even the scientists studying it are still piecing together. Next time you catch stubble in the mirror, remember, that's not random. That's evolution, still running its code. If this kind of story is your thing, hit subscribe. We dig into one of these every week. See you in the next one.